Just going to zip these ones out here. Now, no need to undo this one. This one's the mount for the transmission. Just want to undo it at the sump here. Now I am curious as to whether I can get this off, still leaving this whole converter in place. At this stage I don't know. So we've got a bolt here and it's not going to have an issue. It's just the next one around that I'm a bit concerned about. So I've got this one on the front here. I'm hoping there's enough room here that we can undo it. Otherwise we'll just take this converter off, no biggie. Now there's still plenty of, oh, it's only a nut, sorry. Hey, that's going to not be a problem at all. Now it's no biggie that we've taken these few bolts out here. It's still bolted on at the top and I'm still okay with that. It's not going to collapse down on top of me. I'm also going to grab this bolt just at the top here. It's at the top of this little bracket thing. And that can come out with that bracket as well. We've got this bracket that supports the drive shaft that's bolted to the back of the block. It's going to need to come out. It's got a couple of 15mm bolts that hold it in place. With those bolts out of the way, this is now loose on there, that's fine. Okay, while we're back here, I do want to get some of these wiring undone as well. So we've already undone the wiring for the starter motor. There's some there for the O2 sensor. Now they've got different clips, clamps, brackets, I don't know, whatever to hold this wiring in. It changes over the years. It can get a bit frustrating, but look, that one pulls out of the alternator. There'll also be one that needs to come off the alternator with a little nut. And again, I'm sorry, it's very hard to get this all on camera because there's not much room once you get your hands up in there. And we've got a little one in on the front here, which is kind of hard to get to. Now look, a lot of these different wires have different sorts of plugs and squeeze points on them. They change over the years, so sorry I can't give you a simple guide with that, but that's now all free from the back of the engine, and so too is that. Now we got this one before that we undid here. There's one up a little bit higher here, and we're going to have to remove this front transmission mount to be able to get to it. So what I'm going to do is just quickly remove it and then put it back so it can kind of support the transmission bit. So remove it, get the bolt out, and then just sit it back in place. It's an 18mm by the looks of it. Get that big bolt out. Okay, so this has got 3 bolts. We've got a bottom one here. It's a 15mm. There's not a lot of room to get in there, but I'm hoping I can just get enough on it and start it moving. And I can just get it out with my fingers. Pull it out. Now back at the front of the engine, we undid this hose before for the turbo, so I'm just going to kind of move it out of the way. We've got a few little electrical connections, so we'll need to undo those. Just trying to find the squeeze point. There we go. Get those out of the way. And now I just want to undo the 3 bolts, is it? Is it 3 or 4? No, it's just 3 bolts. Okay, so we've got the 3 bolts here. I'll just... Yep, they were 13mm. One up in there looks like it's going to be a little bit awkward. This one up on the top here. It's been a bit of a pain as well. Just have to get in here and do these ones by hand. I just can't fit my air ratchet in. pretty good. Once you've cracked the bolt, they seem to run pretty nice. Now this one seems to have a little bracket for a little electrical connection, but there's no connection actually attached to it, so that's interesting. That's that one out of the way. I'm just going to let that hang there. It seems to sit fairly firmly on there, so I'm happy with that. Now before I lower it down, I'm just double checking that wiring is not clipped in anywhere. It's all looking pretty good from underneath. I think the rest I can get from the top. That's all free on the back, it's free on the front. We've undone these few bolts underneath here. The torque converter's loose. I think we're ready to drop it back down and work from the top. Okay, I'm just going to work fairly methodically. I'm going to start with an airbox. Just take off some wiring. And just with the clamps pulled away, these just pull off. Ugh. Let's try again. Just loosen the clamps, and then we can pull these ductwork off. Oops, we dropped that clamp. This one just pulls up. And there's often a little pipe in the front we need to remove, get it up and out of the way. Just have a sneak peek in there, see how dirty it looks. Now look, it is a good idea to cover these over with something. This engine's going to be fully disassembled, so I'm not super stressed, and I'm just focusing on some speed today. Just to remove this coolant pipe, you just need a little hooky tool. See if we can just grab that, lift that up. I'm just going to take it right off, just so I don't lose it. Just gently pull that out. I'm just going to push that aside. Now I just like to work around the engine, make sure everything's free, so we've got everything off there. All these cables and pipes and stuff, they're just going to come out with the engine. Now coming over to here, we've got some more things that need to be removed. Pop that sensor out of the way. Pull this little clip. Things like the O-rings and stuff that should be on here. Interesting. Oh, it's down in there, sorry. Things like the O-rings, there it is. Things like these O-rings here, obviously we've got to check all those before we put it all back. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but we've got a clamp down in here. Get my socket on there. Come out. We can pull that. At this point too, I do like just to have a look at how much oil's in there. There is a heap, so yeah, we'll investigate that a little bit more thoroughly. And you can see we've got a bit of oil dripping already out of this throttle body. Not a problem for now, we'll figure that problem out later. And to free some space up here, we're going to take all this battery and this assembly out of the way. You can try and work around it, it just gets too messy down in here. Okay, now these shouldn't really be done with an impact, so look away. It's just likely you can break the fuse, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Push that up out of the way. There's a couple of 13 mils in here. Computer up and off this housing here. It's much better to be able to reuse these clamps and all these clips, etc. the front here. Sometimes we can just pull this thing out in its entirety. Sometimes they stick. So we'll get this, unplug the sensor. Just undo it from this earth point over here. These are a common issue, these earth points. If you've got some random issues, I would suggest cleaning these. And this little wire here, I should have taken off while it was still on the battery.